They were given pills they did not understand, injections they did not consent to, and they were sent into rooms where reality itself began to melt into a kaleidoscopic nightmare. Some woke up screaming, while others never woke up at all. This was not a horror movie. It was a secret CIA program hidden in plain sight, designed to hijack the human mind. Today we know it as MKUltra. But as we peel back the layers of this 20th century shadow war, we realize that the tactics used then have found a new home in the 21st century. These tactics of isolation, manipulation, and the total destruction of truth, they have been repurposed for the modern digital age. Welcome to the Digital Sleuth. If you are fascinated by the dark world of espionage, hidden experiments, and how these legacy tactics have evolved into digital threats, then hit that subscribe button right now. Stay with me, because today we are pulling a mission out of the shadows that bridges the gap between old-school brainwashing and the high-tech manipulation of the modern era. Officially, MKUltra did not exist. Unofficially, it was one of the most disturbing operations the CIA ever conducted. Funded in total secrecy during the height of the Cold War, it aimed to create new weapons not made of steel or gunpowder, but of psychology, chemistry, and fear. The roots were planted in the paranoia of 1950, when American soldiers returning from the Korean War were dazed, broken, and disturbingly compliant. These men were praising their captors in a way that defied all logic. And Washington panicked. They believed the communist powers had discovered a way to reprogram men. The CIA response was brutal in its simplicity. If the enemy has it, then we must have it too. In 1953, CIA Director Allen Dulles greenlit the program, and at the helm was a chemist named Sidney Gottlieb. Gottlieb was a man with a chilling lack of ethical boundaries. To him, the human psyche was just a codebase waiting to be cracked. This was the very first system override of the human hard drive. And it was only the beginning. MKUltra was not just one lab. It was a sprawling network of 149 different subprojects. It funneled money through front organizations, which were essentially the 1,950 seconds version of a shell company or a dark web money laundry service. This money flowed into universities, hospitals, and prisons across the country. The drug at the center of it all was LSD. Gottlieb seized on it like a zero-day exploit, hoping it could make men more pliant or erase their memories. To find out if his theories worked, the agency bypassed user consent entirely. In Kentucky, at a federal penitentiary, African-American inmates were given LSD for months at a time just to see when they would break. Meanwhile, in Canada, at McGill University, Dr. Ewan Cameron pioneered a technique called psychic driving. Patients were placed into drug-induced comas while endless loops of recorded messages played in their ears. This was a literal attempt to format a human hard drive and reinstall a new operating system. They even set up brothels in San Francisco and New York, known as Operation Midnight Climax. Unsuspecting men were lured in, dosed with LSD, and watched behind one-way mirrors by CIA agents. This was the ultimate honeypot trap, a tactic we still see today in international espionage and every modern cybercrime documentary. Think about a major phishing attack. The goal is exactly the same as it was back then. You find a person's psychological vulnerability, like fear, lust, or urgency, and you use it to gain unauthorized access. In the 1,950 seconds, the access was the mind. Today, it is your entire digital network. Even famous internet mysteries, like the radicalization of the Unabomber, Theodore Kaczynski, point back to these experiments. Kaczynski was a student at Harvard when he was subjected to brutal psychological interrogations by researchers linked to the CIA. When we talk about how people are broken or radicalized online today, we have to look back at these early blueprints. By the early 1,970 seconds, The CIA knew the walls were closing in. The Watergate scandal had destroyed the government's admin privileges over public trust. Investigative journalists like Seymour Hersh were starting to dig into the agency's illegal surveillance of American citizens. In a move that would make any modern hacker proud, CIA Director Richard Helms ordered the permanent deletion of the MKUltra archives. In 1973, thousands of documents were shredded. It was an attempt at a perfect system wipe. But in the world of forensics, whether we are talking digital or paper, nothing is ever truly gone. In 1977, a Freedom of Information Act request uncovered a cache of 20,000 documents that had been misfiled in a financial building, and luckily escaped the shredder. These were the backups that the CIA forgot to purge, and they contained the evidence of a nightmare. These files revealed the tragic end of Frank Olson, a CIA biochemist who fell from a 13th floor hotel window after being secretly dosed with LSD. For years, the CIA called it a suicide. But decades later, forensics suggested a darker truth. Evidence indicated he was likely deleted because he knew too much about the program's secrets. These documents proved that the CIA had turned ordinary citizens into guinea pigs. But here is the most chilling part. The project failed. Despite the millions spent and the lives destroyed, they never found a reliable truth serum. They found that the human mind, while breakable, is not easily programmable. You might be wondering, why am I telling you this in a cybercrime documentary? It is because the spirit of MKUltra did not die. It simply migrated to the web. We are currently living through MKUltra 2. Lin. But instead of LSD, the delivery system is the smartphone. The goal of the original program was the modification of human behavior. And if you look at the mechanics of dark web scams, social media algorithms, and state-sponsored phishing, the objective is the same. It is all about control. Take a look at the algorithmic loop. Dr. Cameron's psychic driving used repetitive messages to break patience. Modern algorithms use repetitive content loops to keep you in a state of high emotional arousal. This makes the target more susceptible to suggestion, just like the patients in the 50 seconds. Then, we have modern social engineering. In major international fraud cases, like pig butchering scams, we see victims psychologically groomed over months. Scammers use the same isolation and dependency tactics pioneered in CIA safe houses to steal millions in crypto. And finally, the deepfake frontier. The CIA wanted to melt reality. And today, with AI and deepfakes, they finally can. We have seen major hacks where CFOs were tricked into transferring funds because they thought they were on a video call with their boss. It is the same midnight climax manipulation, just digitized for a new generation. The dark history of MKUltra teaches us that the most vulnerable part of any security system is the human element. Whether it is a Cold War chemist or a modern ransomware gang, they are always looking for the human exploit. So, how do we defend ourselves? Here is your digital sleuth defense protocol. First, you must harden your personal firewall. Multi-factor authentication is non-negotiable. If the CIA could hijack a person's mind, a hacker can certainly hijack your password. Use app-based authenticators, and never rely on SMS. Next, update your software. Hackers look for unpatched software just like Gottlieb looked for unpatched psychological traumas. Second, you have to spot the social engineering. Apply the Cold War rule. If you receive an urgent, emotional, or threatening message, treat it like a hostile interrogation. Stop, breathe, and verify the source through a different channel. Avoid the honeypot. Be extremely skeptical of unsolicited romantic or professional advances on LinkedIn or Telegram. Many are just fronts for dark web scams. Finally, practice good digital hygiene. Limit the amount of personal info you share online. Modern phishing attacks use your digital footprint to craft stories that feel eerily real. It is just a modern version of the CIA's psychological dossiers. MKUltra remains a cautionary tale about what happens when power operates without oversight. It is a reminder that the most precious thing we own is not our bank account. It is our autonomy. In the 1,950 seconds, they use drugs. In 2025, they use metadata and social engineering. If you found this deep dive valuable, please give this video a thumbs up. Tell me in the comments. Do you think the government ever truly stopped these experiments? Or have they just gone digital? I am the Digital Sleuth. Stay vigilant. Stay encrypted. And I will see you in the next mission.